If you ever want to test how much your family actually values you, host your own birthday dinner and just sit there. Don't serve, don't offer to clean, don't bring anything. Just exist. I did that. Once. Spoiler. Never again. I'm Daniel Carter. I'm 29. And for years, my role in the family was simple. If it broke, I fixed it. If someone forgot the bill, I paid it. If Blake, my younger brother, screwed up again, and he always did, I bailed him out before our parents even noticed. I didn't mind at first. I told myself I was being a good son, a dependable older brother, a team player in the great dysfunctional sitcom we called The Carter Family. But that script wore thin. See, in our house, reliability didn't mean respect. It meant silence. My accomplishments were footnotes. My job in cybersecurity? Boring. My paid-off condo? You're so careful, Daniel. Meanwhile, Blake's latest career experiment, becoming a crypto coach, was celebrated like he'd cured cancer with a tweet. So I decided, on my 29th birthday, to stop playing the part. Just for one night. No favors. No offers to help. Just show up, eat mom's oversauce lasagna, and let them pretend we were normal. Big mistake. Dinner started predictably. My sister Carly dumped her kids into the living room like loose bowling balls and made a beeline for the wine. Blake arrived 30 minutes late, sunglasses on indoors like he was shielding himself from the truth. Dad was already half a beer in, watching a muted football game as if that counted as participating. I sat quietly at the end of the table, chewing garlic bread and trying to stay invisible. It didn't work. Still single, Danny? Mom chirped, topping off my glass with boxed wine like she was bribing me into answering. Yep, I said. Turns out women aren't into guys who pay their parents' electric bills. She laughed, then blinked, then just changed the subject. No one asked what I meant. Of course not. Because deep down, they knew. They'd known for years. Eventually came the cake. Store-bought. The kind with frosting that tastes like anxiety. Candles jammed in sideways. Blake actually had the nerve to blow out one of them before I did, like it was some kind of power move. And then Dad stood to give a toast. To Daniel, he said, lifting his beer with a greasy smirk. May he never disappear, or we'd have no one left to fix our crap. Laughter. Then the kicker, if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even miss you. I didn't react. I just froze, fork halfway to my mouth. The laughter kept going. Blake chuckled. Carly snorted. Mom just nodded like he'd recited something sweet. Nobody blinked. Nobody said, hey, maybe don't say that on your kid's birthday. I got up. No speech. No dramatics. I just said, thanks for dinner, and walked out, the sound of Dad cracking open another beer behind me like a period at the end of the sentence. I drove home in silence, windows down. Springfield, Missouri felt colder than usual that night. My phone stayed silent. No text from Mom. No guilt trip from Carly. Not even one of Blake's stupid memes. It hit me in waves, not anger, not even hurt. Just clarity. They didn't see me. They saw what I did for them. The meals I paid for. The emergencies I solved. I was a utility in human form. That night, I stopped being useful. And for the first time in a decade, I started thinking about what my life could look like if I vanished on purpose. It didn't happen all at once. I didn't walk out of that birthday dinner and vanish like Houdini. No, I eased into my ghost phase. Quietly. Like unplugging myself from an overloaded circuit one cord at a time. The next Sunday, I didn't show up for dinner. Mom texted me a passive-aggressive, missed you today, followed by a lasagna emoji and a heart. Classic. As if lasagna had ever solved anything in this family besides her guilt. I didn't reply. Then came Blake, sent a laughing gif of someone crying into money. No caption, just the pure, Blake brand of idiot humor. I didn't even open it fully. Just saw the preview and muted him. Week after that, I forgot to pay the water bill. The phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Mom called twice. Then Dad. His message was just 23 seconds of silence and then, call me back when you get your head on straight. No, are you okay? No, did something happen? Just an order. They were starting to feel it. The cracks were showing, and it gave me a grim kind of satisfaction. I've been paying their mortgage for 3 years. Quietly. Automatically. You'd think they'd miss the money right away, but turns out, people living in a fantasy don't check the calendar until the lights go out. I gave it 2 more weeks. And then, I pulled the plug. I changed my number. Shut off every auto payment. Deleted Venmo, PayPal, Zelle. I scrubbed my socials, wiped my old email, and set up a new bank account under my middle name. Daniel E. Carter became Evan C. Thomas overnight. And no one noticed. Not until I quit my job. I'd worked IT for a small cybersecurity firm in St. Louis. Nice people, decent pay, solid benefits. I gave them notice, smiled at the awkward going-away card, and walked out without a single backward glance. Because here's the thing, while I'd been paying everyone else's bills, I'd also been stacking my own cash. No big purchases, no fancy vacations. Just a quiet little emergency fund that had ballooned into something impressive, $180,000 in liquid savings, plus another chunk in investments. When I sold my condo, I walked away with just under $400,000 in total. All mine, untouched by Blake's bad business ideas, untaxed by Dad's guilt, free of Carly's kids needing birthday presents I never got thanked for. And so I left. Found a little town out in Oregon I'd visited once on a solo hiking trip. Trees for miles. A rental cabin with spotty Wi-Fi and a porch that caught the morning sun just right. Paid for the whole year up front in cash. No paper trail. No digital breadcrumbs. I disappeared. No note. No explanation. No, I need space. Just gone. And I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would notice. Turns out, they did. It started with emails to my old address. Subject lines like, "Please call. It's urgent. Daniel, we're worried. Did something happen? Too little, too late." Then Blake apparently reached out to one of my old college buddies. Told him the family was worried sick. Said I'd ghosted everyone and asked if he'd heard from me. My friend, bless him, told Blake I was fine. Busy. Probably meditating on a mountain or something. Which, honestly, wasn't far from the truth. Meanwhile, I spent my morning sipping coffee and watching fog roll off the trees. I read books that had been sitting on my shelf for years. I went entire days without speaking to anyone. And I breathed. Really breathed. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't responsible for anyone else's panic. No frantic calls about overdue bills. No Blake texting, "Yo, can you cash app me $300 for a work thing?" translation. Bar tab. No mom asking, "How do I get the Roku to stop talking to me?" It was bliss. Until it wasn't. Because just when I was settling into the silence, just when I thought maybe I'd finally been allowed to disappear, the knock came. And standing on my porch, squinting up at me like I was a ghost she'd half expected to find, was my cousin Jenna. I hadn't seen Jenna in, what, 5 years? Last time we spoke, we were sitting on her back porch drinking canned wine and talking about how much therapy we'd need just to survive our families. She was the only one in our extended circle who didn't treat me like a vending machine in a cardigan. So when I opened the cabin door and saw her standing there, hair tied back, hoodie drenched from Oregon mist, eyes tired in a way no sleep could fix, I didn't slam it shut. I just blinked. "Dan," she said, like it hurt to say my name. I didn't know where else to go. I stepped aside. She didn't speak much at first. Just hovered near the wood stove, arms crossed like she didn't know if she was allowed to get comfortable. I made tea. She didn't touch it. We sat in silence while the kettle hissed like it was judging us. Then she pulled a wrinkled envelope from her bag and set it on the table between us. My name. My mom's handwriting. I stared at it like it might catch fire. "They're losing everything," she said. No sugarcoating. Just that. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. "They told everyone you had a breakdown," Jenna added. "Said you just snapped. That they're worried sick." My jaw clenched so hard I felt it in my molars. I didn't want to laugh, but something sharp bubbled up anyway. A low, bitter chuckle. Yeah, probably hard to pay for therapy when the money guy vanishes. She didn't defend them. That's what made it worse. She didn't argue. Just gave me a tired nod like, "Yeah, I know. The house is in foreclosure," she said. "Utilities were shut off last week. Your dad had what sounds like a panic attack but refused to go to the hospital. Blake tried to pawn your old gaming PC. That last part nearly made me smile. They're a mess, Dan." I looked at the envelope again. I still didn't touch it. Jenna leaned forward, elbows on the table. "I'm not here to drag you back. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just thought, if it were me, I'd want to know." That stopped me cold. No expectations. No manipulation. Just a cousin, showing up uninvited, with a little bit of dignity and a whole lot of truth. She stayed the night. I offered her the guest room. She said it smelled like pine needles and unresolved trauma, but she took it. Neither of us brought up the letter again. She left early the next morning. Didn't make a speech. Didn't cry. just thanked me for letting her crash and walked out into the fog like some emotionally devastating forest spirit. I sat with that envelope the rest of the day. I picked it up, set it down, walked away, came back. It was like a paper landmine on my kitchen table. Eventually, I opened it. 2 pages. Blue ink. Slightly shaky script. You could practically smell the guilt on the paper. Daniel, we don't know what happened. One day you were there, and the next, you were just gone. Your father's been sick. Blake's been trying, but he's overwhelmed. We didn't realize how much you were holding together until things started falling apart. If we said something that hurt you, we didn't mean it. You know how your dad is. He was just joking. He misses you. We all do. Please call us. Come home. Love. Mom. No acknowledgement of what was actually said. No apology for, if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would miss you. Just a vague, we didn't mean it, wrapped in desperation and fear. Not regret. Just panic that the safety net was gone. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer with old warranty receipts and expired coupons. Felt like the right place for it. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Because I finally knew they weren't grieving me, they were grieving the version of me that paid the bills and shut up about it. And that version of Daniel Carter was gone. About 2 weeks after Jenna left, I was finally settling into the quiet again. The kind of quiet that doesn't just mean silence. It means no expectations, no buzzing phone, no Blake begging for, just one more Venmo to get me through the week. And then, right on cue, the universe punched me in the inbox. Jenna texted, "Check your old email. You're going to want to see this." I hadn't looked at that inbox since I went dark. Honestly, I only kept it alive for password resets and spam filters. But I logged in anyway, curious. Subject line, bold and smug. "You owe us, Stan." It was from Blake, of course. I opened it, not sure if I wanted to laugh or break my keyboard in half. "Hey man. Look, I don't know where you went or why you're doing this whole ghost routine, but it's not funny anymore. Things are bad here. Like, real bad. You disappearing like that? That was messed up. We were counting on you. You always paid for stuff. That was your thing. You took care of things. Nobody made you do it. You just did. So don't get mad at us now for expecting it. That's on you. You can't just vanish and leave everyone in the lurch. Come back. Fix this. It's the least you can do after everything we've done for you. We're family. That still means something, right? Blake." I stared at the screen. We're family. That line hit like a wet slap. Not because it hurt. Because of how hollow it sounded. You owe us. Not, we miss you. Not, we're sorry. Not, we understand now. Just, you owe us. That night, I took a walk on the forest trail behind the cabin. Let the cold air slap my face. Watched the mist crawl over the ground like it was searching for secrets. And I thought, they really believe this is about money. To them, I wasn't a brother or son. I was a monthly deposit. An emotional Roomba cleaning up whatever they couldn't be bothered to deal with. And now they were angry the robot stopped working. The next few days, the guilt parade picked up steam. Mom sent me a novella titled, "Please Think About the Family," which might as well have been titled, "You were always the responsible one, so why are you being so mean?" Dad's letter came next. Typed. Cold. The kind of letter you'd send a landlord, not your kid. "You're punishing your mother. She didn't deserve this. I didn't mean what I said that night. You used to laugh at my jokes. You've changed. Either you're part of this family or you're not." That last line? That was it. That was the one that twisted the knife in just the right place. Either you're part of this family or you're not. It wasn't a plea. It was a threat. An ultimatum delivered from a man who thought being a dad meant being obeyed, not respected. They didn't get it. Still, after all the silence, all the unpaid bills, all the evidence in front of them, they still thought this was a phase. That I'd come crawling back because of blood. Newsflash. I bled enough for them already. But what happened next took the whole thing from sad to surreal. I was out buying groceries in the next town over, paying in cash, as always, when I noticed a guy loitering by the checkout line. Buzz cut. Baseball cap. Cheap sneakers. Nothing suspicious, just present. Too present. He followed me through the cereal aisle. Then paper goods. Then frozen pizza. I ducked into the cleaning supplies and waited. Sure enough, there he was, suddenly way too interested in Swiffer Pats. I paid and left. Took a different route home. Stopped 3 times to check my tail like I was in some spy movie. Back at the cabin, I turned on the perimeter cams. Nothing. Still, I changed every password I had. Pulled cash. Froze the rest. My instincts were screaming, and they were right. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. Not Blake. Not Mom. Not even some desperate family friend looking to just talk. Nope. It was a man in a gray suit, holding a manila folder. He didn't even flinch when I opened the door halfway. "Mr. Carter?" he asked. "I represent the law firm of Winthrop and Davis. I'm here on behalf of your family." I didn't blink. "You're joking." "I'm not." He handed me the folder. Inside? A civil suit. They were suing me for financial abandonment. Apparently, I'd created a long-standing pattern of fiduciary support and knowingly disrupted essential familial functions by removing said support without warning. In plain English, they were suing me for not paying their bills. You ever hear of someone suing their own son for not paying their bills? Well, now you have. According to the man in the gray suit, my family had filed a civil claim for financial abandonment and disruption of familial support. I read that phrase 3 times just to be sure it was real. They were basically arguing that because I'd helped them out for years, I was legally obligated to keep doing it. Like I was a defective credit card that had gone rogue. I stood there in my doorway, flipping through legalese about damages incurred due to unexpected financial withdrawal, and wondering if my dad actually believed a judge would side with him because Daniel always paid the Comcast bill. Turns out, they were that desperate. I called a lawyer the next day. Reese Sutherland, a friend of a friend, specializes in family disputes and emotional blackmail cases, as she put it with a smirk. Within 10 minutes of reading their claim, she rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. "They're suing you for not being their piggy bank," she said. "That's bold." She took the case. And she took it personally. For the next 6 weeks, we built the kind of case that would make a paper shredder sweat. Every wire transfer I'd ever made. Every rent payment I covered for Blake. Every receipt, email, and sad little, "just this once, sweetheart," text from Mom. We stacked it all, years of quiet sacrifice and neat, undeniable rows. Because this wasn't just about winning. It was about closure. About drawing a line in Sharpie so thick it could be seen from space. When the court day arrived, I didn't know what to expect. But I was absolutely not ready for the scene that unfolded. They came in like a soap opera cast ready for a finale. Dad wore his funeral suit. Mom had on sunglasses indoors like she was channeling Jackie O. Blake showed up late, of course, chewing gum like he thought he was on trial for being too cool. He even winked at me. We sat on opposite sides of the courtroom like a family divided by a game of financial dodgeball. I didn't look at them. I looked at Ree. Calm. Collected. Holding a binder thicker than my old college textbooks. The judge, a woman in her 60s with zero tolerance for drama, flipped through the case file and raised an eyebrow before we even said a word. "Let's begin," she said, dryly. "Plaintiffs may proceed." My father stood. His voice was calm, even warm. "Your Honor, this isn't just about money. This is about betrayal. My son was a pillar of this family. He supported us. And then, without warning, he left us in ruin." Reese stood next. "Your Honor, the plaintiff's argument hinges on one thing, that a pattern of generosity constitutes legal obligation. But there's no contract, no cosign debt, no fiduciary duty, just years of kindness now being weaponized." She paused, letting that sink in. "More importantly, there's evidence the plaintiffs emotionally manipulated and verbally belittled my client, most notably during the event that triggered his withdrawal of support." She pulled out a transcript. On the defendant's birthday, he was told by his father, quote, "If you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even miss you." The courtroom went still. Dad's face drained of color. Mom looked away. Blake checked his phone. Of course. The judge flipped through the evidence Ree had presented, bank records, text messages, voicemails. She didn't ask many questions. She didn't have to. After 20 minutes, she looked up and spoke 6 words that nearly made me cry. "I'm dismissing this case with prejudice." Then she looked directly at my parents. "This is not how family works. Financial assistance, no matter how long it lasts, does not become a legal duty. Mr. Carter owes you nothing. You abused his kindness. And now, you're trying to punish him for leaving." Dad tried to speak, but she cut him off. "This court is not a weapon." Dismissed. The gavel hit like thunder. Outside, I barely made it 5 steps before Mom caught up to me. "Daniel, please. We didn't mean for it to go this far." I turned. "You meant every word that night. You laughed. You let him say it. And then you kept calling me when the money stopped." She blinked. "We were scared." "You should have been scared before you broke me," I said. Blake tried to cut in, but I held up a hand. "Nope. You don't get a word. You got a decade of my money. That was your say. And I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. It's been over a year since the courtroom slam dunk that should have ended everything. And in a way, it did. I'm still in the same cabin tucked away in Oregon. Same crooked porch swing. Same pine tree that groans like an old man when the wind hits just right. Same peace I didn't know I was allowed to have until I stopped handing pieces of myself to people who never earned them. I teach part-time now, remote coding classes to kids and career changers who still think Java is just coffee. I hike. I sleep in. I finished that sci-fi novel I always said I would write. It's terrible, but it's mine. The point is, I have a life. One that doesn't revolve around other people's fires. And I haven't heard from them since the trial. No surprise emails. No apologies. Not even one of Blake's weird memes. Just silence. But silence, as it turns out, can be a blessing. Because that noise I thought was family? It was just obligation disguised as affection. Now I can hear myself think. I can feel what peace sounds like. Sometimes, I think about that night. My birthday. The laughter. The cake. The moment when my dad thought it was funny to tell me I wouldn't be missed. He was wrong. I was missed. Just not for the right reasons. They missed the guy who fixed everything. Who always said yes. Who could be counted on to sacrifice without making a fuss. That version of me? Yeah, he disappeared. But the real me, the one who's okay with saying no, with setting boundaries, with disappearing if that's what it takes, he finally showed up. I don't hate them. Honestly, hate would take too much energy. I'm just done. They taught me something in the end. Not with love, not with kindness, but with entitlement, silence, and one lousy toast. That love is only love when it's given freely, not traded like a service. You don't owe people access to your life just because they share your last name. You don't have to keep bleeding for people who laugh when you're empty. I disappeared, and they didn't come looking. And that, finally, taught me who I really am.